Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. Welcome everybody this morning. Beautiful day. If you could, please rise and we'll take a moment of reflection before we begin. Yeah, thank you. And Ashley, can you give the report on anybody that's joining us virtually, please?
Thank you. And through you, Mayor Eccles. Before I begin, at any point, if you get disconnected, you can dial 1-647-558-0588 and enter the ID for this meeting, which is 891-5626-2480. Both member of council and staff have been briefed on the various features of the Zoom meeting software and will be raising their hands physically to speak. For members of the public, if you require any technical assistance, please send a chat message to myself, Ashley Noble, Communications Coordinator, and I will attempt to assist you. It should be noted for members of the public that this meeting is taking place across two meeting platforms, both on Zoom as well as being live streamed on YouTube. Public participation, if any, must be done through Zoom and cannot be done through YouTube at this time.
Thank you, Ashley. Number 3, any declaration of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof? And certainly seeing none, but it can, if it does arise, can be declared at that time as well. Delegations. We do have one delegation this morning. Mr. Steffler, welcome. Proceed if you want to the table, and it should be a gray button on the microphone, and that will get you live. Yep, right on the front there. And it should punch it and it should turn red.
Yes,
There you are.
we're on.
You're live. You're live?
Yes,
Welcome this morning.
thank you. Appreciate it. You want me to go ahead?
Yep.
Okay. I'm here this morning. I'm assuming everybody got my summation here that I emailed to everybody and has had the opportunity to read through it. I'm just here this morning to recoup a $1,100 mistake that was made by the building department. As everyone knows here, that's stressful enough. Helping kids getting in the ground and getting a building permit and walk through the process of building a house without further aggravations and frustrations, which was created by our building department. I don't know how much of this you want me to go through. I think everybody's read it. If there's any questions, I can go through the whole thing, or it's whatever process that you want me to do. But, well, I was told that I wasn't allowed to read it here. And that's why I sent it to council through email. So where do you want me to go with it?
I'm suggesting, your summation of it and
Okay, well,
notes through it, and we'll go from there.
on June 13th of 2023, I was set to meet with Michael Cook and Brandy Walter from the Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority. And in attendance that day was Deputy Mayor Tom Hutchison, Carl Shiprack, and Josh Steffler and myself. I discussed the location of the footprint for the house with the Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority. They had no issues with the location of the house. And then Mr. Shipwreck, Carl started on me about the building permit that I took out for the 30 by 40 shop that I built was to be located in behind my other shop. Well, due to weather in the spring and due to the weather in the fall, I couldn't get up there with the cement trucks. And I have the land rented out, so I could not drive through the crops when the ground was acceptable to go across. So I decided to build a shop down where my son and I proposed to sever a lot. Mr. Cook stated that being it wasn't built in the location that I was previously going to build it, that I needed a relocation permit. And I asked what that would cost. He said $150. So Josh went in the next morning get this relocation permit. And the girl said, there is no such thing. There's no fee. There's no relocation permit form that we needed to submit. So I really don't know where that came from. But then Mr. Cook or Mr. Shipwreck started on the building and stated that being I used trusses 4 feet on center, that part 9 of the building code does not permit that. And I knew, being in the building department for 16 years, that it did permit it unless things changed, which they do every day. And by this time I had Luke Wilcox from Van Harten Surveying do my survey, and it was ready to be submitted to the township for approvals. So to keep the ball rolling, I called Luke and said, we got a problem here. Our building official doesn't want to accept the 3-meter setback for an accessory building because the trusses are 4 feet on center. So I said, could you please come back and resurvey this, because Mr. Shipwreck wants 60 feet or as much as 66 feet. There's 2 measurements. I didn't know what to go with. So I told Wilcox to do it at 66 feet. So he came back, and a result of that revisit, it cost me $1,100 to redo that. And within, I'm assuming you got it in your package here. I contacted the building code branch, which I did through the years when I was a building official. And they did send me back an email, which I sent to Mr. Shipwreck and other staff, indicating that part 9 does in fact not prohibit the use of trusses 4 feet on center for residential use or a residential accessory building. And memory serves me correct, Carl had indicated that I'm not an engineer. Well, under part 9, you don't have to be an engineer. Part 9 says you can design it under part 4, which just states you got to be deemed to be qualified, which I feel I am with my experience in construction for over 50 years. I've built a few houses. I built a barn. I've built numerous sheds. I worked for my father-in-law when he was building houses. And that's pretty much the whole summation of it. At the end of the day, the council gave me the rear yard setback for residential accessory building is 3 meters. But I went and paid the extra $1,100 to keep the ball rolling, because we had enough issues with the planning department with setbacks and everything else when we first started. And Josh just wanted to keep the ball rolling. So that's why I went and got the survey redone and resubmitted and then registered on title. So that's what I'm seeking here today, is my extra cost for a mistake that was made by the building department, not mine. And there's a item D in here is from Mr. Luke Wilcox from Van Harten, stating that the extra cost came to $1,100. And that's pretty much it. If there's any questions.
I will open it up to any questions. Has anybody got any questions or thoughts? Joyce, Councillor Noon.
Thank you. I guess I'm really confused in the fact that your initial permit was to build this shed in a location, but because of spring and fall weathers, you're unable to, and then you decided to move it to another location. Never really got good clarification that the municipality approved that location for that shed, because you went right into about the what one official said, and based on your knowledge, there was that contradiction. So the initial, where the location of the shed was to be put, I'm still kind of confused on that. Was that ever rectified, that you could build it in this other location?
No, Councillor, no. I own that farm, and I own the farm. I own the part of the land where the shed was gonna go, and I own the piece of land where I put the shed. Like I've never had that issue in 16 years of building official. You're going to build a hen house over here, but then we decided to build it over there. It was never an issue. I own the ground. I couldn't see an issue. Am I pleading ignorance? Perhaps, but it was still my land. It was still my property. I wasn't putting it on somebody else's property. Where the shed did go is where the house is. which is totally accessible from the road. It's all gravel. And there was no problem getting them with cement trucks and other equipment that we needed. I just could not get across that field the way it's wet in the spring, it's wet in the fall, and the crops are in, and I'm not going to damage a person's crops for. That was the logic.
So did the municipality then provide you with moving the shed then to the other location? And that's the location you were going to do the severance on, correct?
That's correct. To
Like
answer
the
that,
municipality approved then to put like the shed in that other location then?
to answer that question again, Josh came in the day after Carl was there to get this relocation permit for $150. And Josh came in here and the staff told him there is no relocation application form. So it wasn't that we didn't try, but when it's not available, what are you going to do?
Go ahead, Tom.
Thank you, Mayor Eccles, and good morning, Mr. Stepler.
Morning.
So just for clarity, that $150, was that conservation suggesting that, or was that Wes Gray? I missed.
No, you were there and it was Carl that said, when I asked him, well, what's this going to cost me? He had said $150 because when the Conservation Authority left, unbeknown to me, their comment, Mr. Cook's comment was, how do you want to pay for this? And I said, pay for what? He said, well, $850 to tell you that it's okay to build your house where you want to put it, and we just paid $17,000 for a building permit.
Yeah, no, yes, I was there. I just wanted to, in my clarity of what you had stated here, that's what I was trying to, just so I didn't misunderstand it.
Yes, it was Carl, it was Mr.
Yeah, that's fine.
Shipwreck that said off the top of his head, $150. So.
Thank you. Yes, I was there, and I was there just to obviously be the kind of in between, if you will. That's why I was there with conservation, just to make sure that we were seeking some clarity on any questions you had. That's why I was there that day for you. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
And I appreciate you being there. It was.
Councillor Hutchison. Bill?
Sorry, just a point of clarification. So I'm a little confused because obviously a lot of times when people are building, the conservation is involved in terms of where the building envelope is. So did you get permission? Did you go through the whole conservation thing to get permission to build the shed in location that you moved it to, or just on the original spot?
No, I had the permits in place already. The conservation was out when I first took out the permit.
So,
And it never dawned on me to go back, and it was in an open field,
right.
couple hundred feet from where I thought the Conservation Authority line started, but
Right.
apparently they have rights over your whole farm, which I didn't know. I thought you go by zoning with
So that-
A1, A2, A3, whatever the zoning is, but
So they weren't in favor of, or they didn't know that you had moved the location sort of thing. Like they didn't get your final approval on that then, did they?
did you say they weren't in favor of it?
Yeah,
No, they never ever said that. No.
no.
They had no problem with it. They never said anything about the shed when they did come to look at where the house was going.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else? I don't believe that we're going to make a decision on this today, Ron. We will gather a bit more information from the other side on it as well. See if we can get a wholesome lot of information here on this. Just one quick question. When the severance was made, is the shop on the severed property that your son has, or is it still
Yes.
on your property?
No, it's on a severed portion of it.
Right, okay.
Because we increased the setbacks from 30 feet to 66 feet to appease the building department. No, it's on a severed lot.
It's on the severed lot now.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. All right. Thank you very much for bringing this to our attention. What I can offer you is do our due diligence and we'll be back to you. Not going to say it'll be tomorrow or the next day, but in short order with our response
Okay,
for you.
thank you very
Good.
much. Appreciate it.
Yep. Oh, thank you, Ron.
Have a good day.
Absolutely. Enjoy the sunshine out there while it lasts. Apparently, Hurricane Barrel's not going to let it happen for too much longer. Yes, you were kind of in that path there. Okay, thanks, Ron. Okay, public meetings. Don't have any public meetings scheduled. Comment period. It's a point in time where if anybody in attendance, whether virtually or in person, for comments on anything that's on the agenda. One person, Marion, no? Is there somebody online? Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
Um, your name,
anyway.
please, and
Kristen Rennie, Georgian Planning Solutions. I am here to speak to council and give them an update on the Bruce subdivision project in Durham, which is on the agenda today with staff report 11.1.2. So just wanted to give you an update on the project, if that's all right.
that'd be fine. Jamie, as it is, she can make comments. Sure. Go ahead, Kristen.
Yep.
Kristen, right?
Kristen, correct, yes.
Yeah. Good.
So the staff report that's in front of you today is to consider an extension for a draft plan approval. It's lapsing in August, and so we're requesting an extension of that as we are working forward to get this project moving forward. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of an update of where we are in the process. We are working towards building phase 1, which would include 95 units. We're actively working on the file. You may have noticed back in the fall of last year, there was some site work that happened on the property, getting it ready to be serviced. We're also working on updating the engineering drawings to reflect the changes that we had through a red line revision, which was approved in July of 2023. So that's a little bit of work. And we are currently actively working towards clearing the conditions of the draft plan approval. So we also have to update the site plan because of that change from the red line revision. So you may not see anything physical happening on the property, but we are actively working on the file. We're still plugging away and are really excited about getting phase 1 into the ground. The plan as of now is to service the property this fall with a goal to start building phase 1 in the spring or early summer of 2025. And the proponent is really looking forward to get moving with that phase. So I just wanted to give you a quick little update that we're not holding back, we're working hard, but you just can't really physically see what we're doing.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Anyone else, Ashley, online? Okay. Good for comment period, unfinished business. Not aware of any. But down to adoption of the minutes. We've got 2 meetings there from July 18th to June 18th. Sorry, time runs too fast. Don't need to make it go that quick. The regular council meeting on June 18th and the public meeting on June 18th. Got a motion to move both of those? Moved by Councillor Townsend, seconded by Councillor Noon. Any questions, comments on that? Call the question then. All those in favor? Any opposed? Those are carried. Thank you. Committee and board reports. We have one from 9.1 Musgrave Public Library, Graceville Improvement Committee, and the Saugeen Municipal Airport meeting from June 19th. You can receive those. Have a mover and seconder. Moved by Councillor Forrester, seconded by Deputy Mayor Hutchison. To receive those committee and board reports. Any questions or comments on those? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Correspondence. We have a number of correspondence in the package today, I think about 18. But one is looking for, requires action. That's correspondence from the Durham BIA. Their budget approval is there. And the way the BIA, the legislation works, the budget has to be approved by council. So with that there, 10.1. Any comments on that? Anybody want to move those? Move the motion? Thank you, Councillor Hutchison and Deputy Mayor Hutchison. Any questions or comments on the motion? The budget itself has not, revenues that are generated through a levy hasn't increased. They're still working within their limits, so very good. Any other questions? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Thank you. The rest of the correspondence. Is there anyone that we want pulled? Councillor Forrester.
Good morning. I'd like to pull item number 10 from the municipality of Erin Eldersley and item number 16 from the county of Bruce.
Yeah, I just had a question on one of them. Have to find the right spot here, that's all. On page 69, I guess the one about correspondence from GEI, read notice of application for pit license, and it makes reference to the Normanby pit. Can someone enlighten me on that, on what's happening there?
That one is down at Watcha Farms, formerly Watcha Farms,
Oh, okay,
just on the curve. It's
Right.
been a pit for quite a number of years. I'm
right,
not going to say just how many, a number of years. I think going through it, they're just looking at an expansion of the pit, not,
so it is active?
it is an active pit,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
No, just as an expansion, that's all that we got.
Okay, thank you.
Clarification, good.
Yep.
Don't think we need to pull it then. With none other than pulled. Oh, Joyce. Good.
I
was
apologize.
getting
I
away
thought
from
we
that.
were dealing with
No, we'll
Councillor
figure out which
Forster's-
ones we're gonna pull first and
Okay,
then we'll go
sorry.
from there.
They're one and the same. So I'd like to pull 5A and number 15.
Yeah, 15 and 5A are both the same. Okay,
Mhm.
all right. Those are the four that we have pulled. Want to start into them? Yes. Okay. Councillor Forrester, you started with 10, correspondence number 10. I'll go with that.
I just want to support them both.
Okay, you got a correspondence there? Jamie? or
Thank you.
A resolution.
Thank you,
correspondence.
Miracles. And through you, for the first one, I have that in consideration of correspondence received from the municipality of Erin Eldersley respecting Ontario Health Coalition public consultation submission. Council directs staff to send a letter of support for the correspondence to the board and president and CEO of the South Bruce Gray Health Center and the Bruce Gray Owen Sound NPP, Rick Byers.
Okay. Good. All right. You move that. We have a seconder. Councillor Shea. Thanks, Jeff. Any questions or comments on the motion? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Okay. Second one you had, Scott, was number 16, Bruce County's request to health. Want to speak on that one as well?
Same thing. I'd like to support it.
Okay. Jamie?
Thank you, Mayor Eccles. And through you, I have that in consideration of correspondence received from the County of Bruce respecting a request for the Ontario Ministry of Health to pause service level reductions. Council directs staff to send a letter of support for the resolution to Premier Doug Ford, Deputy Premier and Minister of Health Sylvia Jones, Bruce Gray Owen Sound MPP Rick Byers, Bruce Gray Owen Sound MP Alex Ruff, and Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
Okay. You're moving that one too as well, Scott. Thank you. And I'm going to get Councillor Townsend. That one. There seems to be a fair number. The other one, there's another couple of letters in our correspondence from George and Bluffs from North Bruce Peninsula supporting our battle with South Bruce Gray Health Center. Councillor Hutchison, comment?
Yeah, so I see that it was dated June 24th that this email was sent. I'm just wondering, are we getting any response from any of these written submissions? I know I've talked to different people and I've written some myself. Not getting a lot of response back, even though they say they're going to respond. I'm just curious, have we heard if there's any response coming back? And then the other question I had was, I presume that at AMO that we're going to have a delegation with some of our ministers, I hope, to discuss this topic. I won't be there, but hoping that some of our representatives will have that meeting. Thank you.
Again, from the ministry, we haven't had much of a response as of yet on those requests. Kind of just a little bit off the topic, but of these, I'm not aware of any response from anything as of yet, but South Bruce Gray, we're still looking for those public consultation meetings that they promised us 2.5 months ago as well too. So it's a time factor. I'll leave it at that. Okay. Anything else? And the foundation has heard nothing either from their requests. So, okay. So we have the response and the resolution moved and seconded on that, number 16. No other questions or comments? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. All right. And Joyce, your comment on the asset for the retirement AROs, I believe is what the acronym is going on.
Okay. Okay, I would like to pull 5A correspondence in the township of Larder Lake and the correspondence from the town of Cobalt number 15 regarding the asset retirement obligation PS 3280. In speaking with the Director of Finance, West Gray must also address the asset retirement obligations under the new public sector accounting board standards. I would like to support the town of Cobalt and to call upon the province of Ontario to provide financial assistance to all municipalities to complete the ARO.
Got anything for that, Jamie?
Yes, and through your miracles, I have that in consideration of correspondence received from the Township of Larder Lake and the Town of Cobalt respecting asset retirement obligation PS 3280. Council directs staff to send a letter of support for the resolution to the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing and the Association of Municipal Managers, Clerks and Treasurers of Ontario.
Okay. You want to move that resolution? Thank you, Joyce. Councillor Noon moves. Anybody want to second that? Deputy Mayor Hutchison. Thank you, Tom. Any further comments? Any comments from the Director of Finance on the real need for this piece of paperwork?
It is a new standard under the public sector accounting standards board, so we will have to adhere to it. The value of the information provided is possibly debatable, but it is something that we must do.
Legislative requirement. Keep somebody happy that their inbox in Queens Park is full. Okay. No other further comments? going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Thank you. The other correspondence? No other comments on those? We can receive those. The majority of those ones, I think all of them, have been across the table before. So the rest of the correspondence, can I have a motion mover to receive the correspondence? Councillor Townsend and Councillor Forster. Thank you. Any questions? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. That's dealing with correspondence. Bring us down to number 11. Staff reports. And the first staff report is from the manager of planning. 11.1.1 is development agreements for Candu, Iverson, and Walsh. 4 that have gone through committee. Are you here to comment on this, Mr. Shipwreck? Carl, please.
Yes, thank you through your worship. I apologize. Mr. Planner David Smith is off sick today, so he's requested that I just fill in for him. So I will do my best here. I am aware of most of these projects. So yeah, we're just requesting approval from council to enter into agreements. There's 4 agreements here on the in the report. One for Candu Homes for a 3-lot severance on Arthur Street, which is just off of Durham Road there at the northeast corner of the municipal town of Durham. There's a 5-lot severance on Park Street at the south end of Durham. We've got Iverson, which is a 6-unit apartment on David Winkler in Newstead. And we've also got Walsh, which is a 3-unit townhouse, semi-detached and a single-family lawn on Queen Street, Enoch Street, also in Newstead. All 4 of these reports and severances and or zoning bylaw amendments have already come and have been approved through council, but we're requesting development agreements with all 4 of these projects because they are all going to include some type of road infrastructure, either upgrades or development. So that the agreement would incorporate all that work that's being done in the road allowances and among other things on the property as well. We are working, David and I are working to incorporate an agreement so they have the same agreement for everybody, all developments. So some stuff will not apply. We just cross those things out of the agreement, but we're looking to just create one agreement that sort of would incorporate everything and then work with the developers to, and the planners to determine what would apply and what wouldn't. It would streamline the process for planning staff as well as for the developers, hopefully, that we're working together to get that done. So.
Very good. Any questions? Councillor Hutchison.
Yeah, sorry, working from the wrong agenda, I guess, because I don't have that in front of me. Can you just review the 4 again, Carl? The one was on Park Street, was 6 units, right? And then on Durham Road East, was that triplex?
So it's Arthur Street, which is just
Street.
off of Durham Road,
Yeah.
Durham Road at the that goes south there off
Yeah.
of Durham Road.
Yeah.
So it was a 3-lot severance. There's an existing house on the 1 lot. So then the other 2 lots will be proposed for new housing, new single family dwellings.
Right.
There's the 5 lots on Park Street where Candu Homes, we entered into an agreement with them to do the road work for the initial phase of that development. I believe that was about 1.5 years ago that road work has been completed. This is the second part of that development. There's also a third part that will be coming forward at a later date. And then Iverson is the 6-unit apartment right on David Winkler, which is also a county road. So in that case, the county is also involved with that agreement. But and then there's the Walsh agreement, which is Queen Street, Enoch in Newstead as well, which is a severance for a proposal of a 3-unit townhouse, a semi-detached, and a single-family dwelling. Again, all these proposals have already been before council at one time or possibly twice, depending on if there was a severance through the Committee of Adjustment, as well as a zoning bylaw amendment.
Oh, okay, thanks for clarification on that. So we're not getting into the Bruce one yet at this point. Even you're gonna talk. Speak
No,
to that
that's
next-
that's a separate
Okay,
report. Yeah.
right, okay. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Thank you. Got it. Wow. Apparently my agenda wasn't updated.
Okay, thanks. Joyce?
Just for clarification, for Welch, I didn't think we did the severance. I thought it was just the zoning that we had approved.
Correct. Not all of these had severances. The Walsh one did not. It was zoning only.
Counselor Shay? Jeff?
Thank you and good morning. When we do these development agreements, sometimes if it's a larger property and there's road upgrades that are involved, sometimes those include sidewalk redevelopment or development, and sometimes they don't. Is there, do any of these, and is there a reason why some do and some don't?
Yes, through your worship. So we start off at a point where we require sidewalks in all cases. Then we work with the developers. Sometimes it's just a case where there's no connecting sidewalk or there's no, no future plans for sidewalks. So it wouldn't make sense to have sidewalk just in front of the section of the development and then no sidewalks to connect it to or anywhere else to go. So and we work with Public Works and our director of Public Works there, Jeff Aiken, and he reviews all the application and we work with him to determine where the sidewalks would be required or not. But we will say our initial request is always require sidewalks. And then we sort of determine if they request or provide a reasoning that sidewalks shouldn't be required, then we would review that request to make a determination.
And that typically wouldn't come to us. It's just handled at staff level.
I guess where it would show up though is in these development agreements, would have to be approved by council. So, yeah, the request and the negotiation would be what was here, but it's still, I guess in reality, it could be amended by council, requested, but I think staff's doing a pretty good job of being reasonable. The one in Newstead, I think, is the best example right at the present moment. Sidewalks on one side where Walsh's are developing on the north side of Queen Street. We could have them in front of their lot, but there's nothing from, no sidewalk all the way down to, all the way down to the river, really. Mill Creek in Newstead. There's nothing on Queen, it's all on the south side. So that would be what it means. Yeah.
The reason I ask is that I did note that the apartment building that was built recently with county support by the Country Corner there in Durham doesn't have a sidewalk in front of it, and yet there is, residential housing beyond that. So between the Legion and that row of townhouses, there's no sidewalk. So people trying to get from there, either from that apartment building into town or from that apartment building over to the Country Corner, don't have access to a sidewalk. And I thought we could have. Is this approval that we're approving right now? We're approving the development agreements? Like you just said, they come before us and we have the opportunity to review and we could make request amendments. But we are looking at it right now with no details about what's included or not. So we just sort of approve them in very general terms.
Yep.
We don't see them in that level of detail.
Carl?
Yeah, that's so speaking specifically to the county apartment buildings on the, unfortunately, that was before my time. We weren't, and as well as Jeff Aiken and our current planner, but our current policy is, and it has been amended probably in the last few years, that we are through some council direction on previous projects that we are starting with a sidewalk requirement up front, like I stated. So I can't speak specifically to that project and why it was required or it wasn't. Obviously, in this case, it wasn't required, but moving forward and all future developments, our starting position will always be sidewalks are required. So just so council is aware. And sorry, I forgot your second question.
Good to hear. So
Okay.
Thank you. I'm satisfied.
Joyce. Counselor New?
I'm not familiar with Arthur Street. So currently, is there sidewalks on Arthur Street on either side? So being it's a new, of course, then, but then, like you said, there's not a starting point and an ending. So in that case, they're kind of in the midway. So I guess in that case, you wouldn't enforce a sidewalk be put in place at this time.
Correct. So currently there is no sidewalk requirement for that section. Arthur Street is included in phase 3 of the Durham Road upgrades. So currently, if you drive down the road, we've done phase 1 and phase 2 of that development. Phase 3 is proposed for 2025 in the budget, and part of that development would be the full upgrade and urban development of Arthur Street to include curbs and sidewalks and a road upgrade. So that wouldn't be as part of this development, but it would be part of the future development of the entire road.
Okay. Nothing else. Gonna call the question. All those in favor? Oh, sorry, I thought we had it moved and seconded. I'm sorry. Moved. Sorry. Deputy Mayor Hutchison and Councillor Shea. Any questions or comments on the motion? Apologies for not getting that moved. Call the question then. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Okay. The next one is the extension of draft plan of approval from Bruce. And we've had a young lady from the engineering company, I believe it was engineering company or planning, from Bruce, was the one that she was commenting on earlier in question and comment period. Carl.
Yes, thank you through your worship. So correct, Ms. Rennie was speaking to this report during the comment section of the agenda. Just giving a brief outline of where her client was in the process, in the work that's being done on that property. It was indicated in our report that there wasn't a whole lot of work being done on the property, which sort of we're implying that there was no actual physical work being done there. Similar to previous reports to the council for draft plan extension, our intent is to remove water and wastewater allocation from all our draft plan approvals for all of our subdivisions, that previous subdivisions that, we allocated them. For the reason that there's usually a significant period of time between the draft plan approval and that final subdivision approval and then final construction. And we don't want to hold up another development because we can't provide them water and sewer allocation. We're trying to provide, as on a first come, first served basis as they are ready to actually start construction. So we're removing our water and wastewater allocation from the draft plan approval and we're adding them into the subdivision agreements. So in this case, we've already signed a subdivision agreement with them, but we require to amend that subdivision agreement because the current subdivision agreement is for the entire construction of the project. They've requested to move it into a 3-phase, and they're only requesting allocation for phase 1, as well as they went through a red line revision. As Ms. Rennie noted, they've made some changes to add additional townhouses, some smaller development rather than all single family dwellings and semis. So they've going through that process. So those revised engineering plans will all be incorporated in the new subdivision agreement, as well as the allocation for what they have requested would be phase 1 would be 95 units. So currently we have allocated to them in the current draft plan 208 units. So we would be going down to 95 units. That would provide, the difference, the 113 units could be allocated to another development if another one came forward at their time for subdivision agreement. So any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Okay, thank you, Carl. Any questions on this one? Counselor Hutchison?
Yeah, so from their planner, it sounds like they're expecting to get some infrastructure in this fall, according to what the engineer said. And so it's unfortunate that their draft seems to run out at the end of August, and then they're still planning on doing some work this fall. So we're gonna, as you said, Carl, you're gonna give them approval for the 95 if we get a plan this fall. How does that work in terms of our overall water availability, water and sewers availability? Because I know we're a bit tight for space and for amount. Where does that put us in terms of other approvals? And maybe that's a question for Jeff for Public Works, and maybe.
Thank you, through your worship. So it definitely helps. We've been working with Miss Rennie and her client for the last, few months to work through this process to make something that's going to be fair for the developers, so that they do have some assurance that they're not going to be putting up a lot of money out and not getting allocation. Fair to them, but also being fair to the municipality, that we're not tying up this allocation. Even if they had started phase 1 earlier, they still would have required a draft planning extension, because they require the draft plan for all 3 phases. Okay, so if they go, another 2 or 3, 4 years before they go into phase 2 or phase 3, we would have to come back with another extension at that point, because this extension currently, well, the county decides on the time frame, but usually the extension is 3 years. So we're working with the applicant to determine exactly their time frame that we're going to allocate that 95 units. Like, even in our subdivision agreements are going to be a time frame there, and we work with each applicant to determine, what's going to be fair for both the municipality and the applicant, and determine. We're looking at, a 2-year starting time. They would have to start construction within 2 years. Otherwise, again, they would lose that 95 unit allocation. So if they decide, for whatever reason, if there's a change in the market, or decide not to move forward with construction, then they would have that 95 units after the subdivision agreement is signed. But then after the 2-year time frame, if they haven't started, they would lose it again, and then it could be reallocated to somewhere else. So like I said, it does free up about 113 units of allocation for other proposed developments. And that would be on top of any, free allocation we already had in existence. Like this Bruce subdivision, every time we brought a report forward to council on the allocation that was available, that Bruce subdivision was already counted in there, because we had already guaranteed it through the draft plan at that time, and we couldn't reallocate it until the revised draft plan came forward. So it does help for sure. It provides allocation for we've had inquiries from other developers for other proposals. So, and we've always been clear with them for the last year to year and a half that we will only be allocating for site plan or subdivision agreements, or for those one-off it would be at the building time they apply for a building permit, would be when they would be allocated.
Yeah, so I'm pleased to see that something's going to happen there, because it's been sitting sort of stale for a little bit now. Something to keep in mind going forward, as you had mentioned, that Durham Road East needs the upgrade in terms of storm sewer, sidewalk, and so on, which goes along with this new development, right, in Arthur Street. So again, budget item for next year, we're looking at doing something there, along with all our bridge problems we have. So next year it's going to be a bit of a challenge. But I'm just curious how far. I know we're looking at putting in a new well that's been in the plans. I'm just curious with our sewage treatment plant, like how far out are we in terms of how far can we go before we say to developers coming in, we don't have enough? We're looking at, 30, 35 before we get sewage treatment. I don't know. Maybe our director can enlighten us on some of this stuff that help us understand where we are in terms of the whole development thing in West Gray and in Durham.
I'm gonna but we're veering a little bit off of this agreement, but
the underlying thing. Okay.
Geez, Jamie's getting me trained very well. Jeff?
Good morning,
please.
Mayor and Council. I'll
Sure.
take a stab at trying to explain that. With the sewage, we're in better shape than we were with the water. The plan this year is to stress test the sewage plant to see if we can upgrade the rated capacity of it by 10%, which will buy us some time. The pressure point is the water and drilling the well. We don't foresee the sewage plant in the next couple of years being a critical path.
Now, just back to the draft plan of approval. Okay. Do we have a resolution there? If there's no other questions for Carl or Jeff? Got a resolution to approve that? Do we have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Shea and Deputy Mayor Hutchison. You're gonna have to learn to use your other hand. Remember, this is your sore shoulder, okay? Yeah, we'll keep reminding you. We got it moved and seconded. Jeff and Tom, any other questions, comments? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Good. Thank you, Carl, for pinch hitting. Director of Infrastructure and Public Works.
Good morning.
One other thing, Carl?
I don't know if I could make a request to do staff report 11.4 while I'm here, or can we amend the agenda? Probably quick.
Okay. Your time is valuable. Yes, we won't waste it here in council chambers. Go ahead, Carl. Deviate slightly. This is the tower.
Yes, thank you through your worship. So we've seen the report, this tower is going on municipal property beside the arena. Previous staff report gave approval and council gave approval for that. This is just the notice period that they've provided notice to all surrounding property owners. They received only the one comment back from SVCA, which was that they required a development permit for the current location. So they revised the location approximately 10 feet to the north to remove it from the regulated area. So a development permit from SVCA wouldn't be required. That's the only change. And we received no other comments from any other property owners.
Okay. Any questions or comments on this? Doug, go ahead.
I'm just curious. So was there like a notice of so many meters around that the property for each of the residents? Was that given out for this?
Correct. The company installing the tower, they notified, they provided the list. We helped them with some addresses and things like that that they needed. And we sent out the notice, or sorry, they sent out the notice to all surrounding, and they had a certain amount of time to respond. And nobody other than the SVCA that was also notified responded.
What was the distance? Do you know, Carl? How far away did?
I don't know the exact distance. Do you know, Jamie?
Through your miracles, I believe the distance changes based on the height of the tower. I think the distance equals the height of the tower. So if it's 100 meters high, then the distance would be 100 meters in perimeter around that.
All right. Do we have a mover and a seconder for this? Moved by Councillor Noon, seconded by Councillor Hutchison. Any further comments on the question? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Thank you, Carl. Director of Infrastructure, Jeff.
Hello.
Got good news for us on a bridge. Wow. At least the good news is you're keeping this one open.
For now, the intent of the report is to give council an FYI, kind of an update. Last year, we did do the biennial inspections on the bridges at Bentic and Glenelg. We did identify some bridges that were of concern and agreed to do annual inspections. Bridge 3 was one of them. We identified it was in poor shape and it's further deteriorated. So when they're just trying to give council an update on it, and for the 2025 budget, there will be a request to start the design work with the intent to replace it in 2026. Hopefully it survives that long.
Any further comments? Sorry, Councillor Townsend. Doug?
Thank you. Just, I guess a question, for the director. To help limit or add some longevity, hopefully, fingers crossed, to this bridge, is there a possibility, because we know we're down to 5 tons and we know nobody obeys those rules, and the size of equipment, what if we restricted access to the bridge by putting some Jersey barriers up and almost making it a 1-lane bridge, which would A, slow the traffic down, which would help save the bridge, and B, it would limit the large loads going over the bridge and force them to take an alternate route. Would that help with some longevity?
Through your worship, thank you for the suggestion, but it's too far gone. I don't think you'd buy any significant amount of time by doing it at this point. We do have some other bridges that rehabilitation will be a strategy, and we will consider strategies like that as part of that process. But it's going to have an wholesome inspection now every 6 months. I'm not sure going to the additional cost of Jersey barriers and checking that they're not moved is worth the expense at this point, or not for this structure anyhow.
Okay. Anything else? Need mover and seconder to receive the report. Councillor Forrester and Councillor Townsend. Thank you. Any further questions? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Environmental Officer. Nicole. Rain today? You want to sell us some barrels or what?
For tomorrow.
Nicole. Yeah.
Yes,
Nicole,
I'd like to thank the members of council that did purchase rain barrels in the online sales to help move things along. And hopefully everybody that's purchased one has them set up for the next few days. So this report is to address the sale of rain barrels through the municipal office. Our intention was to have the sale through the online platform because there are so many different options and so many unique circumstances with everybody's residences that it would be easier for folks to choose something that would match their needs at their home. Unfortunately, we didn't get the number of orders that we had hoped, so the municipality proceeded to order the balance of the load so that we could have that delivery for the folks that had ordered, since we had to delay that pickup a couple of times. So just in summary, rain barrels are a very effective way to manage and conserve our water consumption. Rainwater is free and it has many benefits compared to using municipal water, and reduces the burden on municipal wastewater and water systems. So we would just like to have this added to the fees and charges bylaw so that folks can come and purchase the barrels here at the municipal office. And they will be just the very basic model with a diverter available.
Very good. Any questions? Doug, Councillor Hutchison.
Yeah, thank you, Nicole, for organizing that. I think it's a great thing. I did purchase one, and I have 3, maybe going on 4 rain barrels now. But I'm just curious, I just wanted, and I think we talked about this before, about putting it on our website so that it's a little more visible upfront type thing, and that's something maybe for a new CAO to look at our website and make some suggestions somewhere down the line. So I think so that to get some of these things out that people can find. I found it very difficult, challenging to even locate where we were selling them and whatnot. They had to go through a number of steps. So I think for most people, they come to the website, they want to see what they're looking for, sort of thing. So just a suggestion, maybe try to get it out there as much as possible. I mean, that's only one way of advertising, right? But I think we need to continue to advertise, and I hope you'll do that. And how many barrels do we have that are going to be for sale?
There's going to be 26 available, and perhaps some of those that we plan to install at municipal facilities, and those in itself will become an advertisement.
Just a thought, as you mentioned that some of our gardener people who do gardens would probably like a rain barrel if they had access to it somewhere near to a garden. So that'd be great.
Okay. Go ahead, Jimmy. I don't know what I was going to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Eccles. And just to add on to what the environmental officer said, so this report basically, what we're seeking out of this is direction to bring forward a bylaw to amend the fees and charges bylaw to be able to sell these for rain barrels. So the earliest opportunity for the municipality to begin distribution of these rain barrels would be August 13th. So just for anyone out there watching who's interested in purchasing.
If I can also add, I do have a wait list in process for anybody that's interested in purchasing one. And then once they are officially available, we'll begin contacting those folks.
Okay. I was going to say maybe we could put it up on the, I don't think we have it on the sign out front. Nope. Okay. Might be a little bit better advertising as well too. Okay, any other questions? Then we'll look for a mover and a seconder for the recommendation. Councillor Noon and Councillor Hutchison. That's the bookends. Any other comments? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Okay. 11.4 has been done. Thank you very much, Nicole. Jeff? Director of Finance and Treasurer. We had the opportunity to use that language with you for a long time there, Carrie. Welcome back to your usual role. Carrie, please.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. This is the renewal of our Canada Community Building Fund, we call CCBF, which was the former gas tax fund. So this is a renewal of this agreement. It's a 10-year term, so we do require council a bylaw to authorize the signing of entering into the agreement. The report does note the various categories that are eligible for funding. It has expanded over the years, but it has been these categories for the last several years of it. But if there's any other questions, I'd be more than happy to try to answer.
Any questions, Doug? Councillor Hutchison.
Yeah, thanks, Carrie. Can you maybe just give us a quick overview of some of the projects or uses that we've used this fund for in the past?
Primarily, council has used them for roads or bridges. That has been the majority, I would say 90+% has been allocated to roads or bridges. In the original, when it was the original gas tax, when it first came out, the categories were much more limited. Over the years, they have expanded, but we have consistently relied upon it to supplement our roads and bridges portfolio.
So maybe could we put a request in to maybe triple it so that we could help with our roads and bridges? and probably with this one, along with most of them, there's probably very little paperwork involved, right?
Yes, this is a allocation, not an application form. So we will, the second attachment to the report does note what the projected allocations for our municipality are. It is based on your population and a rate, and a portion goes to the county, but it's strictly an allocation based. So we know we're getting X amount, 400 and some $1,000 every year. So we don't have to apply for it. We have to report on it at the end of the year and provide signage and those types of things. But it's all streamlined within a portal for reporting every year.
Councillor Noon, Joyce?
I know we've had numerous correspondence regarding funding for small rural Ontario. And when I look at Halton Region of, and I know you said it's based on population, well, that population is more densified, but their roads is probably similar to what we have in West Grace. So I wish the application would change in somewhat. It's just a comment, but it just, when you look at like over 6 million up to, to 7 million versus our $500,000, like it just doesn't seem very favorable. Thank you.
It's never enough. So if it is, if we're entering into this agreement, Councillor Hutchison, can we amend what it is and put our number, what we want on there?
You're not allowed to make any amendments to the agreement.
Good. Yeah. My one concern is that it has been changed. If I can speak from the chair, certainly it was a gas tax and it was always part of that redistribution of gas tax funding, revenue generation. And I guess I'm one of the ones that's in that, as my car is plugged into the charger outside. What effect electrification of our transportation is becoming, what effect that's going to have on this type of funding? As that revenue source kind of keeps depleting slightly by electrifying. How long this may go, your point, Joyce. Is it going to continue, or how is it going to continue? Doug, Councillor Hutchison.
Suggestion to go along with that, I think we keep hammering away on the 1% HST rebate to municipalities, and I think there's something in that. I know AMO's been harping on that for years, so that would be great if we can get that.
All right, that's for a different day. Ms. Noon. Joyce?
Again, it's a comment, but it's just taking from Peter and giving to Paul, but there's still gas tax incoming in. And now that, like you said, they're using the electrical funding portion to assist with this. To me, there's still two entities out there that they can provide to the municipalities, and they're just flipping the coin. I just don't think it's a fair process.
Very good. Okay, we have this one moved and seconded. Do we need a mover and a seconder? Deputy Mayor Hutchison and Councillor Townsend. Thank you. Any further comments on the motion? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Thank you, Carrie. Nice to see you back in your old job and finding us more money. God, great. Mr. Clerk, Director of Legislative Services. Jamie, first report, 11.6.1.
Thank you, Miracles. This is a report on amendments to the Delegation of Powers and Duties bylaw. So as council will be aware, West Grey enacted a Delegation of Powers and Duties bylaw in February of this year. At the time, there were few delegations inserted into that bylaw with respect to public works and infrastructure and planning. So the current Delegation of Powers and Duties bylaw is very limited in that regard. So what this process is seeking to accomplish is add in additional delegations of powers and duties to allow staff to take on some of those more operational things to allow council to focus more on strategic priorities as opposed to some of the more mundane operational matters. Through that will streamline processes and hopefully reduce red tape to speed up things like development, infrastructure projects, and so on and so forth. So if there's any specific questions with respect to the proposed delegations, I would ask that the Director of Public Works and or the Director of Community and Development Services come back in to answer that, but I'm happy to answer any questions that I can.
Okay. Any questions on that? Jamie gave a very good explanation of it, but Doug, further, Councillor.
Just comment, do we feel the council position slipping a little bit here?
I guess that was a rhetorical question. Do you want to answer your question? Thank you. Anyone else? We'll need a motion to move the recommendation that's there, prepare the bylaw. Councillor Forster and Councillor Shea. Excuse me. Thank you very much. Any questions on that motion? All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. All right. 11.6.2. I did not purposely, at the opening of the meeting, we do have a new face sitting with us today here in the council chambers, and this is kind of, so I'd just like for everyone out there that is watching virtually and for everyone, welcome Michelle Harris as the new CAO of West Grey. And we're about to proceed to a legal requirement of making that totally official. So I, don't know whether I'm jumping the gun. No, I like, welcome to West Grey, and we look forward to your leadership and definitely working with you and completing the vision of council and our strategic plans. So welcome this morning, Ms. Harris. Very good. Jamie, you've got a report to really make this official.
Thank you, Miracles. And yes, just to further that, this is the formal side of things. So this report seeks to provide direction or to grant direction to staff to proceed with the bylaw to formally appoint Ms. Harris as the Chief Administrative Officer / Deputy Clerk for the municipality of West Grey. So just very briefly, the former CAO resigned effective February 9th, 2024. And in the intervening time, an interim CAO was appointed until such time as council could hire a new permanent full-time CAO. Council retained Waterhouse Executive Search to assist with the recruitment of the new CAO, and Michelle Harris was selected as the successful candidate of that role and began her position with West Grey effective July 8th, being yesterday. So the recommendation of the report is for council to direct staff to bring forward a bylaw to appoint Michelle Harris as West Grey's Chief Administrative Officer / Deputy Clerk.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on the report? And I'll ask for a mover. Deputy Mayor Hutchison and Councillor Townsend. Any comments on the motion? Call the question. All those in favor? None opposed? That was unanimous, Ms. Harris. Thank you, Michelle. And Mr. Eckensweiler, you have one more on line fences. Whew. Good fences make good neighbors.
Thank you, Miracles. And just for council's information, the Line Fences Act is one of the oldest pieces of legislation that was originally introduced in 1834. So it is older than Canada. It's quite antiquated and does contain several nuances that may or may not be as relevant today as they were in 1834. The Municipal Act allows for municipalities to pass a bylaw for the non-application of the Line Fences Act. And just for context, the Line Fences Act, whenever there's an application for fence viewing, The legislation requires that 3 fence viewers go out to view and weigh in on that particular dispute, if you will. Historically, obtaining fence viewers and recruiting fence viewers has been relatively challenging. West Grey currently has only 1 fence viewer, and that position is challenging to recruit for because it does require certain knowledge of fences and farm properties and things of that nature. So it has been historically challenging to appoint the fence viewers. And beyond that, in the past 15 years in West Grey, there's only been 1 request for fence viewing. So to add to that pressure of recruitment, if a fence viewer is appointed with the expectation that, oh yes, I will be involved and I'll be doing this, and they come to find out that once every 15 or 20 years they may be called upon, it's a little disheartening. So moreover, to add to that, the Line Fences Act does provide for wherever possible that the division of costs in terms of fence be split 50-50. So what this particular report seeks to accomplish is for West Grey to opt out of the Line Fences Act, save and except for the portion that speaks to railway fences, and basically introduce a bylaw to apportion the cost of fences between neighbors at a 50-50 rate. So there's a section in the draft bylaw that's attached to this report that provides for a breakdown and how that would work. So one neighbor who wants the fence would be required to obtain quotes, and then that 50-50 is based off of the lowest quoted price moving forward. So the request in the report is for council to direct staff to bring forward a bylaw to opt out of the Line Fences Act and provide for the apportionment of costs of fences.
Okay. Do we have any questions on that? Joyce, Councillor Moon.
I think this is outside of the bylaw, but the roads department had a policies in place for fencing as well. I was wondering if that's been discontinued or would be part of this, because whether there was construction or non-construction to replace or put in new fencing, there was regulations of how many strings was to be put in the fencing and based on hectares or something. I was trying to find something. Rods. Okay, I was trying to find something in the Public Works, but I was unable to find it. So I was just kind of wondering if that's separate or maybe it's not going anymore, but I was wondering if it would be affiliated with this bylaw as well.
Jimmy?
Thank you for that, Councillor Noonan, and through you, Mayor Eccles. This specifically speaks to property line fences. So if there's anything that runs along the roadway, that would be separate and distinct from what this bylaw encompasses.
Further? Go ahead.
I guess this would be though, because like it mentions about municipalities could be that bordering, so that would be the road and the property line. So I guess that's where I was kind of thinking this, the significance of it.
Go ahead, Jim.
So just as an example, where that comes into play, where the municipality may be the neighbor. So let's just use the cemetery beside us as an example. There is a fence there that separates this office property and that property beside us. So that would only really come into play where we own property and there is that division fence that kind of goes from the front of the property to the back as opposed to at the front along the roadway there.
Yeah. So there is, we do own the roadways, but it's distinctive and it's outside when it comes to the roadway. And I think that's where you're going with that. Instead of the apportioning, there was something in the act that you could put in X number of dollars per rod. Certainly not huge, if memory serves me right, but it does offset some of that cost portion of, but it's outside of the consent. Okay. Anything else? Sorry, Scott. Councillor Forrester.
All right, I was just wondering, does this act only include rural fences or does it include urban?
Thank you for the question, through Mayor Eccles. If I could speculate just a little bit, obviously I was not there in 1834, but my understanding is that originally the intent of the legislation was for rural farm properties. However, the way it was written, technically it does encompass every property. So it encompasses in-town properties, farm properties, and anything in between that. So for example, if there was a house in the town of Durham and there was a fence dispute, it would apply there as well. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yep. Okay. Counselor Shay. Yeah.
What's a rod?
16 feet, 8 inches or something. It's around 16 feet. Yeah. Rural measurement. When you get back into chains and rods, yeah, I think it's 16 something. Yeah.
A little bit.
Mhm.
We're getting a little bit.
Yeah, well, definition. Okay. Do I have a mover and a seconder for this one? Counselor Townsend and Counselor Hutchison. Thank you. Any further comments on the line fence? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Very good. Down to questions. Anybody have any questions, council, on past? Today, Scott, Counselor Forrester.
That's a question about the industrial property in Newstead that we were severing and possibly selling. An update on that.
That'll be you, Jimmy.
Thank you for the question, through Mayor Eccles. So a surveying firm was retained to complete the survey work on that land, and that survey work is expected to start within the next couple of weeks. They've anticipated a timeline of 2 to 3 weeks of field work from the time they get out there, and then 20 days to have the survey deposited and registered. So I would expect that we have more to share on that probably within the next month or so.
Anything else? Any other questions? Counselor Townsend, Doug.
Just something back to the fences and back to what Councillor Noon was saying about the when she was talking about the road in the municipality and the fencing and whatnot. Just curious, and I'm just putting this out there, for the amount of fences that have been along the roads that have been removed by farmers so that they can farm out almost to the edge of the gravel. Does the municipality have any concerns with that? Or is that kind of a, a lot of the, what would I say, the newer people moving into the townships are removing all the fence lines and farming every square inch they can. And is that going to cause us a problem with our roads at some point down the road? Just a question.
Want to take that one on? We'll do a little bit of investigation on that. One comment I would make is, I don't know whether we want Carrie to ask Intact. Is there any insurance liability to that? Any different than a farmer wanting to cut the grass? Any difference than a number of rural properties that cut the grass on the edge of the road? Yeah, gets into a little bit of an entanglement. Yeah, but maybe when you're finding some slack time, Carrie, that might be something you investigate. Or we may run into our insurance provider at some point in time. It might be a question to ask them. Okay. If Tony is around, any other questions? Councillor Shay.
Thank you. We had a consultant analyzing the condition of the creek that runs through Durham a little while back, and had some public hearings, and I thought they were going to deliver a report to council. Just wondering if that's come. I missed a couple of meetings, if that came to the council or anybody knows what the status of that.
Well, that wouldn't be us. That would be the Saugeen Conservation Authority was doing that kind of on our behalf, I guess. I'm not aware of where they are at with that. Tom? Yeah.
Well, we had our staff at the public meetings.
Yep.
I had the impression that it was coming back here.
It is to come back here at some point in time. I'm going to say that, but it's conservation that was driving it and hitting it up. Guess we have a meeting coming up next week. Yeah, there is going to be lots with conservation as things are changing there. We'll get back to you on that one of where it is. I know about, I think it was probably, I'm going to say 2 months ago, at conservation, there was a comment on that at the board meeting, how they were moving along with it, and there was other projects in the watershed they were hoping to do, but it was one that was noted. But I didn't hear of a timeline when it was going to be completed or wrapped up. But I think we should see it probably before fall. But we'll get back to you on that one as from conservation. Okay. Anything else? Joyce?
Okay, it's dealing with the closure of bridge that we've had over the last number of years. And I was wondering if our Director of Infrastructure could give us an overlay of those bridges closed. I know we're not supposed to talk current, but even what we've experienced on today's agenda. But how road counts affect the costing to replace these bridge, any fundings available, like I think we need to do a real good summary and get this information out to our MPs and to let them know how devastating West Gray is in right now financially to replace these bridges. Like we don't have a money tree, and if it is, we need the rain barrels, I guess, to fertilize it well, but it's just, it's devastating, and we need to try to be proactive and reach out and see if someone can help us.
What you're asking would probably be a notice of motion to request that a report. But I'm going to just give you a hint. There might be a report coming shortly on that subject itself. Yeah, you're dead on. I think that, yeah, we'll see something. I don't think we need to make it a notice of motion. It's already something because of this, the last today, with the Bendick Bridge. There was one closed in Ganelg 2 weeks ago. So yeah, Jeff is very much aware of that and is going to bring something to council probably in the first meeting of August. Before we go to the emo conference and yell and scream at the province, and maybe when we're in Ottawa, the feds about giving us more money to get over troubled waters.
Yeah, because my concern is we've kind of we put off replacing that one bridge this year for 2025, and now since then 2 more bridges. So where do you get the balance to decide which takes precedence now? And it's unfortunate, like the one that's been closed the longest should take it because of those people living in that neighborhood. Like, so it's going to be a difficult, challenging to know which bridge we're going to do next.
Or how many bridges we're going to do next. Yeah. Agree with Councillor Noon, but yeah, we'll wait and we'll see what, yeah, Jeff is working on that for us. Get the information to make those, because it is going to impact budget tremendously. Okay, that's it for questions. Then we have a number of bylaws. I believe 6 of them. So we certainly can have a motion. Unless somebody wants to pull one, we have a motion to move all 6. Go ahead and sign it. Yep, good. Deputy Mayor is going to move that. Somebody to second it? Go ahead. Right there. Put your John Henry on it, Scott. So I have a motion moved by Tom Hutchison, seconded by Scott Forster, that bylaws number 2024-060, 2024-061, 2024-062, 2024-063, 2024-064, and 2024-065 be passed and enacted. I think the reason that Jamie gives me this one, because he's a speed reader, we wouldn't be able to understand those numbers. It would be like an auctioneer going on. So that's why he does it this way for me. Okay, any questions or comments on that? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. That brings us down to new business. Any new business? Not aware of any, Jamie? Announcements. Did anybody that has any announcements? Deputy Mayor, Tom.
Mayor Eccles, a couple of weeks ago, I attended on a Sunday afternoon in Ayton, and I'd like to just do a shout out to the new Lions Club, which is branch. I'm not sure the number, but it is Ayton, and I think they were about. I think they're 30 strong, was what they were sworn in there. So, Mount Forest, I believe, championed that. So, and Hanover was there. Anyway, so. They're out of the gate and they're off to the races, and lots of good things to come. So I'd just like to welcome them to West Gray and look forward to working with them as we have with our other Lions in Durham and Newstead. Thank you.
Excellent. It was very good to hear. Jeff, Councillor Shea first.
I just want to report that I did attend back in May the fire training session in Markdale, where West Gray trains, and they had a really impressive facility there. And a lot of the firefighters are out, and the training that they go through is very intense. And I believe all of council was welcome to attend those. So I would encourage people who get an opportunity to go out and check it out. I also learned a lot about the operations that goes on at a fire. So very impressive experience.
Thank you for attending. I was not available, unavailable at that point in time. So thanks for some council members getting there and picking up the chief's invitation. Scott? Okay, Joyce?
Thank you. On July 26th, 27th, 28th, we're again hosting our annual Family Fun Ball Tournament. To date, we have 14 teams registered. We'll have our brand new Armor Stone bleachers in place. A little cosmetic work yet to be done, but it'll be ready. And we have a big bouncy castle coming this year for kids to enjoy. And the new Lions Club will be looking after the food this year. We don't have to look after outside vendors coming in, which was starting to become a problem. But anyways, yeah. So all if you want to come out for some fun and some refreshments and enjoy some family fun ball, you're more than welcome. Thank you.
It's most entertaining to watch the families play ball. Usually later in the afternoon, they become more entertaining. Councillor Forrester. Scott?
Okay, Friday night's roller skating in Newstead. The summer's a little less busy, so it's a good time to come out and learn. You have 2 cruisers out there to help you out. Camp programming, there's still some openings. Registration's online, and Play in the Park programming starts today. This afternoon is 1:30 to 3:30 for children 5 to 13. Watch online because programming may cancel due to weather.
Very good. Anyone else? Go ahead, Doug.
Yeah, just a shout out to the West Gray Lions and the Priceville Improvement Committee for 2 very successful July 1st Canada Day celebrations. Lots and lots of people out, and good food, good music, and I think everybody appreciated it. So thank you to them.
And I'd just like to say on that, I was able to get to Priceville and Durham this year, and as well as Southgate, and has their Canada Day celebrations at the McIntyre Building at the Ball Diamonds at noon. Put on by the Junction. Social, I'm still not certain all the aspects that the Junction gets into in Dundalk, but it's more of a Jamaican theme, and they had a meal and the jerk chicken was really good. Really hot too, but it was good. And yes, and a shout out to our MP, Alex Ruff, because the weather is a federal program. They look after weather, and the weather for Canada Day was just absolutely fabulous. Couldn't have asked for a better and great function. Anyone else? Jeff?
Just a reminder that this weekend is the fabulous Festival of Fringe Film in Durham, and the Four Winds Music Festival, I believe, at Elephant Thoughts.
Thousand Thoughts?
Yeah.
Out about there someplace? Yeah.
Former Riverstone.
Riverstone. Yeah.
Looking forward to the weather holding out for that as well. And thank you for attending the community garden inauguration.
Sure. Yeah, thanks. Okay, just stroke that one off. Yeah. Yes, community garden opened up to staff, and certainly helping it out and getting it there just across from the arena. Lions Dog Park, right there at the end, formerly known as Kraler's parking lot. Beautiful. Last year, we were able, through the grant, get a lot of the fruit trees in there. Thank you, Councillor Forrester, for some of your natural expertise on fruit trees and keeping them alive there and having them planted. But yeah, the garden itself, as I said, the amount of volunteers that are making that successful, big shout out to them. Thank you for everybody that was out. I have a couple of things that just come across. One that come across my desk this morning. I'm going to put it out there. There is a new Canada Emergency Preparedness and Climate Adaptation Convention, first of its kind, Canadian National Disaster Expo. Anyways, it's in Ottawa, September 24th to 26th. As I said, dealing with emergency preparedness and climate adaptation. So if somebody has some funding left in their conference budget, just interesting. The other one is the Elmwood Homecoming is coming up on the September long weekend. There's a participation. We've been asked for the municipality to participate in the homecoming parade. Gary Lang, Gary and Donna are kind of heading that up. So we're looking for, they're looking for us to, how we're going to participate in the parade, whether we put a float in or just add as walking. I don't know whether they've got a contest for clowns or not, but anyways, we've been invited into the parade. So I'm going to leave that maybe for some suggestions and see what we can put together for that. Was had fortunate of being in a couple of business openings or transfers. One in particular was the Heritage Corner Variety Store. After 35 years, Joe Kim has the top of the hill has sold the variety store. Another compatriot, or a gentleman by the name of Kai Han, has bought it. Yes, Joe was immigrated here from South Korea, and so was Kai. So, but he has been here, I think, probably 35 years. But he's taken this opportunity to take up the business of a small Heritage Corner store. So if you get a chance, drop in and see him and welcome him to the community. That's all I got. Anything else?
Just a couple other items that I wanted to mention. The VIA is going to sponsor again the farmers market and the Riverside Park this year again. So I'm not exactly sure when that's going to start. We have a meeting this week, so the dates will pop up soon. And Music in the Park at Riverside again is up and running, and people are enjoying that Sunday evenings. There's a number of local musicians playing. And also, I believe on Friday evenings, there's another group that's organized by Mr. Kennedy that has sort of an open mic type thing. So lots of things going on at Riverside if you're available around there. Thanks.
Thank you, Doug. Anything else? Gonna go then, closed session. We don't have any closed session. So that brings us down to number 18. Oof. Number 18 is adjournment. With all items addressed on the agenda, I move that the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Marion, and anybody that was online. We will see you